Well, thank you very, very much to those of you who are joining us today. My name is Laura Wellstead and I'm leading WiCyS UK as president. And I just want to say a huge, huge thank you to those of you who are joining us today. This is our first event, our launch event, and we are incredibly excited to be partnering with ISC Squared and to be sharing the panel with Deshini Newman, who is Managing Director for EMEA at ISC Squared. So I'm going to start by just sharing some information about WiCyS and the UK team, if that's okay with you all. Okay, well, as I said, this is our first event, our launch event, and the reason WiCyS exists is because of two problems within cybersecurity, and that is building an effective cybersecurity workforce because of pipeline of talent and diversity. Some of WiCyS exists to address the challenges we face with diversity. And some examples of challenges include lack of resources, the lack of visibility of role models, lack of social support, inadequate advancement opportunities, stereotypical notions, and lack of community as well, which is some of the subjects we're going to talk about today. Now, WiCyS's mission globally is to help build a strong gender diverse workforce by facilitating recruitment, retention and advancement for women in the field of cybersecurity. I'd like to share a brief history of WiCyS, if I may. WiCyS began back in 2014. The National Science Foundation in the US funded Dr. Ambereen Siraj from Tennessee Tech University for the first ever Women in Cybersecurity conference. In 2015, with the grant funding, WiCyS's objective was to engage 250 women over a 2-year period. After the 2015 conference, WiCyS had tripled those expectations, or more than tripled those expectations, by reaching over 900 attendees in 2 years. In 2016, they were impacting over 1,700 women in the cybersecurity community, and the community was continuing, to grow rapidly. In 2017, Dr. Siraj created the WiCyS community in year-round initiatives and to sustain the project beyond the NSF grant fund. In 2018, WiCyS was officially pronounced a non-profit organisation, and in 2019, the expansion of the organisation continued as WiCyS launched communities and professional affiliates outside of the US. Some of these statistics here in terms of membership numbers. So these numbers were as of September 2020. We're just waiting for the updated numbers now this month. We believe our membership base is looking near on 6,000 members now. We do have a really equal split for students and professional members. We have over 100 student chapters across mostly the US, but also India, Nigeria, Costa Rica and Canada. And we have 28 professional affiliates now globally, 30 of those being across the US. And in 2020, we launched affiliates in Australia, Canada, India, and here in the UK. And we are also expecting new affiliates to be launched in France, Saudi, and we have a number in Africa as well. Some of the WiCyS initiatives that WiCyS globally engage in and what we're going to be bringing here to the UK, training programs, scholarships, grants and awards, webinar series, webinar learning series, We have an annual conference that we're going to want to share with you guys here in the UK, job boards, lots of market research, virtual summits, and also speaking and media opportunities for those members that want to get involved as well. Specifically, I just wanted to mention about our conference, which is incredibly popular, and just to share with you how this event has grown over the years, a very short period of years. 2014, starting with 350 attendees. These are live in-person conferences, grown from 2014 at 350 attendees to 1,300 attendees in 2019. Sadly, our conference was cancelled last year, so we moved it to completely online, a virtual conference, of which we attracted 1,650 conference attendees, which is just astonishing. During that virtual conference, I just wanted to highlight some of the activities that were going on. We had 150 recruiters that were in attendance at the conference. We had a virtual careers fair, 150 in-house recruiters that were there to meet in open forums with job seekers. We hosted over 55 technical sessions, meetups, workshops, etc. And just to highlight again, we had 1,650 conference attendees that joined us at that virtual conference, which is just fantastic. Some of our amazing sponsors and strategic partners, I just thought I'd like to highlight, to share with you guys here, our strategic partners that we will be working with here in the UK as well, to support our mission. In terms of your UK team, I'd just like to take the opportunity, please, to introduce us, myself and my colleagues. So, as I said, my name is Laura Wellstead. A little bit about my background. I own 2 recruitment businesses with a focus of solving talent challenges for multiple, and have to solve talent challenges, sorry, for multiple brands and industries. But over the last 4 years, had a specific focus on cybersecurity. I love working with ambitious business leaders and hiring managers and helping them design the right strategies and processes to attract great talent to their businesses. Whilst I am acting as president for WiCyS UK, I'll be driving the overall strategy, vision and goals for us here in the UK. But I'm going to be specifically focusing on establishing our student chapter network and implementing solutions that will help entry-level candidates gain better access to industry, be able to access work experience opportunities and eventually jobs. My colleague Natasha Harley, who is acting as our Vice President, she is also my business partner. Natasha specialises in rolling out and embedding scalable talent acquisition solutions in businesses that focuses on great positive candidate experiences and enhancing employer brands. Natasha is going to be supporting me with the strategy, vision and goals, but specifically driving education and training initiatives for WiCyS UK and its members. Also joining us is Jana Encheva. She's a technical product manager at Visa, and she's responsible for the delivery of the network security assurance roadmap projects. Jana is very excited to be looking after our mentoring program, which we're going to be bringing here to our UK members to help women build and advance their careers in cybersecurity. Also joining us is Natasha Adians. Natasha is a digital marketing expert, and her introduction into cyber was as the digital marketing manager for Global Sign, which is a world leading certificate authority. She left Global Sign to start her own marketing agency aimed specifically at the cybersecurity industry, and she works with leading organisations in PKI, IDAS and the digital identity landscape. She will be directing our marketing and communication strategies. Also joining us is Deepa Kumar. Deepa will be acting as our board secretary. She has over 10 years experience in cybersecurity with DXC. She is a governance, risk and compliance consultant and delivers projects with large global organisations in financial services, communications, utilities, energy and education sectors. Deepa will be driving our career advancement programme by working with our WiCyS strategic partners to establish best practice, what good looks like, whilst managing all of WiCyS UK governance. So that's enough about us. What I'd love to do now is to hand over to Deshini Newman at ISC Squared, to give you some fantastic insights and exclusive look at their new workforce study. Deshini.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Natasha. I am absolutely thrilled. Can you all see my screen? Yeah, is it sharing? Just to make sure.
Yes.
Just so thrilled to be here, and thank you for the invitation at your launch event. A huge congratulations to WiCyS and to the team. This is, you know, really going to add positive value to what we're doing in the UK and to women in cybersecurity. So I am absolutely delighted to have met this lovely panel that we have today and to be engaging with them, you know, over the last few weeks, and also to have the opportunity to speak and share what we've been doing at ISE Squared in terms of looking at the cybersecurity workforce and how we can continue to champion for professional development and creating a more inclusive cybersecurity sector. So I will be sharing some of the findings from our report with you, and we will also have the opportunity to interact as well. So I would value that contribution when Deepa, you know, starts asking us for engagement with the questions as well. For those of you who may not be familiar, not be already a member of ISE Squared, you know, very quick overview. We're one of the largest not-for-profit associations in cybersecurity with over 30 years experience. And our mission is really to help and promote and inspire a safe and secure cyber world. And we are there to advocate for the profession, you know, to be there to you know, be at the forefront in terms of legislation, industry level discussions, and the important role that cybersecurity plays in our lives. With more than 150,000 members globally in 175 countries, ISE Squared membership, and you know, it's the people that really make up who we are paramount to ensuring that we can make a difference in this industry. The cybersecurity profession faces many challenges, but seriously, even more opportunities. And the ISE Squared research team is dedicated to better understanding the barriers facing the cybersecurity workforce. But we are also focused on uncovering solutions that can best position those talented individuals to excel in their profession, better defend their organization's data, and surpass their career goals. Our research explores a broad array of topics, including quantifying the cybersecurity workforce estimate and gap, better understanding the representation of women and minorities within the field, salary benchmarking, uncovering more effective hiring practices, investigating management and leadership issues facing CISOs, CIOs, and more. And the ISE Squared Cybersecurity Workforce Study has become a highly referenced report in the industry as people try to get a grip on the handle of the size of the workforce gap, how we might be able to address it, what it means for current and future professionals. And that's what we're here to discuss today. And I guess for me, the important thing is not just talking about the what it is, but how are we going to solve this problem? How are we going to make it better for everyone in the industry? The ISE Squared Cybersecurity Workforce Study is conducted annually, and it aims to assess the cybersecurity workforce gap, better understand those barriers, and look at how we can uncover those strategies. And this edition of the Workforce Study, it's the first time we're actually sharing that in the UK, which is today. So delighted to be doing it at this launch event, continues the tracking number of the cybersecurity professionals currently working in the field, along with the gap, which helps us to understand the scope of the challenge the industry faces. And that challenge is a huge challenge. The survey was conducted in mid-2020 at the height of the first wave of COVID-19, which has become for many of us, and I heard this at a conference, actually an IC Squared conference, the now normal rather than the new normal. And I've adopted that, and it is really our reality. And it included several questions measuring the impact of the pandemic on cybersecurity professionals and their organizations. We asked some questions around the value of the certifications for all employees, including C-suite, and some additional questions for consultants that make up a large proportion of the workforce and are sometimes ignored in the industry. We put a lot of thought into our respondent base, and you can see here on the slide the breakdown of where they work in terms of countries. And the study participants came from 14 economies all over the world, 3 more than our 2019 study. So countries included the US, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, UK, France, Germany, Australia, Japan, Singapore, and South Korea, with Ireland, Spain, and the Netherlands added this year. Now, Ireland, as we all know, is growing in the cybersecurity field. We heard from 553 more cybersecurity professionals than in 2019, continuing our goal of increasing the sample size and increasing the validity of the results. The margin for error for the global descriptive statistics in this research is plus or minus 1.6% at a 95% confidence level. And you can see that while all our study participants have cybersecurity responsibilities, they come from a variety of industries and represent both smaller businesses and large enterprises. And that was important to get a full overview of the sector. It is staggering to look back at how suddenly and quickly most organizations were forced to make a decision about sending their employees home to work remotely, and the impact that that had on cybersecurity teams, who were tasked with making that happen from a technical standpoint, often with little or no lead time. And I'm sure many of you in the UK, like us, probably went off for a couple of days, not expecting that we would still be working from home almost a year later. As the chart shows, nearly a third of the cybersecurity respondents indicated that they had to facilitate their organization's remote transition, a very important role, within one business day. And more than 3 in 4 had to do it within a week. What a massive undertaking. Previous ISC Squared research from April revealed that 47% of cybersecurity staff were actually reassigned to this effort and taken off security duties until the remote transition was actually completed. As you can see here in this slide, we're looking at across the regions, across the cybersecurity professionals, and 25% reported team communications. More than 60% reported unchanged team communications, and 12% reported worse team communications. Overall, what you can see is that team communications actually did improve. And while management in some areas had to get used to this new working from home, we can absolutely see that this flexibility does work. And for women in the industry, this is particularly important because it opens up a completely new way of working. It makes the profession more accessible. So in the past, when we had to be tied to our desks, 9 to 5, unable to go out and do that school drop off or attend that sports game or go to the next music recital, you could actually work around this with the new flexible working that came in place. Our transition, people have said, has been seamless. The communication bit has been a bit learning curve and an extent, but we learned which tools work and which didn't work. And that was quite a powerful statement from one of the participants. And I'm sure many people felt the same. It is very encouraging to see that only 18% of cybersecurity staff say they saw an actual increase in security incidents after the move to remove and remote setups, especially when you take into account that 34% believed that at the time of the survey that their organizations were more exposed to security threats. It highlights the astonishing job that the security community as a whole did in responding to such an unprecedented and daunting challenge. Leadership teams that have taken the time to understand the security implications that come along with having a remote workforce tend to engender their teams with better morale and confidence, and that was clear from the survey. This feat is even more impressive when you consider the lack of personnel that cybersecurity teams were afforded during the height of the pandemic. 23% of respondents were aware of a colleague who had been laid off or had been laid off themselves, and 45% reported that they or someone they knew were working on reduced hours and had to be moved to contract work. This reduction in force may have also had an underlying factor behind a perceived drop in forward-looking personnel demand, which we'll get to in a minute. 56% of respondents with titles of managers or above expressed concerns about future personnel spending. Another study participant stated, cybersecurity has always been a value-added item in the budget when there was extra money. We were doing good to hold the line within my organization until COVID came along. The last 10 months has disruption in the workplace unlike anything we've seen in peacetime. And this massive adoption of remote working means that we can be more inclusive within our own organizations. And we've put this opportunity to good use. I guess my question is, have you seen the same? Have you capitalized on making a career change or to progress to a cybersecurity role within a new organization? And I would like to pause for a moment and hand over to Deepa, because I know you have some questions that have come in, and just look at, whether we can address that. I'm happy to take some of those questions myself, and if the panel want to add as well.
Yeah.
Over to you,
Deepa. Thanks, Deshini, for sharing those interesting facts. That's really good to see. So we do have some questions. So the first one is, what can we as an industry do to demystify, cybersecurity and attract more women?
Brilliant question. And I think what we're doing right now is an answer to that, isn't it? So the work that Natasha and Laura, have shared with me, and Laura discussed earlier today, the work that WiCyS are doing, really, that's part of that demystifying, really making the sector more accessible. Ensuring that we can enable more mentoring opportunities. Laura talked about that. I was thrilled, that you've got Jana on board to actually lead on that. That's going to help to demystify the sector more. Ensuring that we can make it more accessible for people to actually network together. So at IC², for example, we've got chapter meetings that people can go to, and you don't have to be a member to go to that chapter meeting. And what it does do, though, is exposes you to other professionals in the industry that you can talk to and that you can have discussions with. And I've been in the industry now for 3 years, and I think, we're on the right trajectory. We're actually on the right path to demystifying that to where we were actually 3 years ago. And us all communicating and continue to talk more and share more experiences and more events like this is absolutely going to make the profession more accessible, and is going to result in us demystifying that cybersecurity is not somebody, hiding behind their computer in a little hoodie and doing what they do. You can be glamorous and still be in cybersecurity and make a difference.
Thanks, Deshini, for that. Yeah. There's another question from the attendee. So it's like, I'm looking for a new job where I can grow. And how can I tell if an employer promotes gender diversity?
And that is a challenge we all face, right? So my approach to taking on a new role, and what I would say to my 30-something-year-old self, is that find yourself a mentor. I think it's absolutely important to find a mentor or a coach that can help you. And growing up, I did not have that understanding of the importance of mentors. We didn't talk about it. In fact, you had to be really good at what you did and somehow, make your way through it. We were not open about talking about mentorship and the value of that. And I would say, find yourself a mentor to help you navigate your way through organizations. Have the conversation, look at the website of what the, what is the leadership team of the organization you want to join look like? Can you see a diverse leadership team on the website? Or are you seeing a leadership team that's all male? I was headhunted for a role actually 2 weeks ago. Very interesting, but I looked at the leadership team and I just saw an all male white leadership team. And I thought, am I going to be the diversity tick that you want? I don't want to be that. And actually, I didn't feel comfortable with that, even going to that just by looking at that leadership team. And I think ask the questions to HR. What are you doing to ensure that you have, more opportunities for women in the organization? Who are you accountable for making those changes and those decisions? How are you ensuring that me as a woman coming into this role, I'm not a tick box exercise and I'm going to fail before I even start, but you're going to help me to grow, develop, and be better at what I'm doing. So that would be my approach to those roles. And I think not being afraid to ask the questions. You're interviewing an organization as much as an organization is interviewing you. Do not feel that you need to bring your worth down. You know how valuable you are, and that's the importance of having that coach and mentor, because the mentor can help you navigate, the coach can help you get into yourself and really understand your value and what your worth is, so that you don't undersell yourself.
Thanks, Deshini.
Do we have any other questions?
That's it, I think, for the time being. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions. Really, really fun to answer as well. I will move on in the interest of time then, and then we'll have some time to ask some questions as we go through.
Sure.
So in 2019, we delivered and developed a methodology to estimate the size of the cybersecurity workforce, and we have updated counts for 2020. The study found that approximately 3.5 million professionals are employed in cybersecurity from global economies we measured in the survey. Something else we found this year was that the size of the global workforce has grown. So from 2.8 million in 2019, we've moved to 3.5 million in 2020. So showing how quick and how fast this industry is growing. In the US, we estimate the workforce size to be about 879,000, an increase from 2019 when it was around 805,000. So let's talk a little bit more about the estimation methodology we created at a high level. We use both secondary data such as workforce size and the number of businesses from various sources, and example, the census, and survey data such as the number of current cybersecurity pros and the staffing levels, along with other metrics we can use to calculate the data sources. And these are available in the report as the inputs into the statistical models that we used. We run these inputs through several different productive and predictive models, and we then pull together and weigh the outputs from these models for our final estimate. So a lot of detail has gone into really looking at how we get to this estimate. Now, the side note, and it's important to recognize, is we only report on countries we've measured 2 years in a row to increase the reliability in our estimations and just to make sure that the models that we're using are working as they should be. We built our estimation model for the US first because the secondary data we could find in the US is the most robust. And I think, there's a lot we can do in the UK and Europe to actually add to that as well. So it's really interesting to see how further collaboration with WiCyS can actually get that data as well. As a result, the size of the current global cybersecurity workforce should be considered our best estimate, given the lack of the secondary sources available in some regions. So, I just want to make that very clear that this is our best estimate. We've really measured and looked at various models and various tools to get to the best estimate we can get to, but this is our best estimate of where we currently are. And as we collaborate further, I expect that, we can all bring more to the table on this discussion. This slide shows the current cybersecurity workforce estimate for each country with the workforce gap below. And as you can see, the UK has 366,000 cybersecurity professionals working today, with a gap of about 27,000. In contrast to the estimate of cyber pros in the US, which is about 879,000, with a gap of 359,000. Now, I think the important thing to take away from this is that we are working in a global environment. You know, most organizations are on a work anywhere program. And when looking at the opportunities in the cybersecurity sector, although we're here talking about the UK, looking at the UK, we really should be looking at it globally because, you know, we can be sitting in our home anywhere and contributing to the sector anywhere in the world. Yeah. And as we know, many of us on this call are in various parts of the world. The global gap estimate for 2020 is at 3.12 million. And using the workforce estimate of 3.5 million based on the 14 economies of which we provide a workforce estimate, the global gap estimate, we can estimate that the workforce needs to grow by 89%. Now that is huge. I'm not sure how many other industries can actually share this kind of data and actually state, you know, this is the opportunity within a sector. This is an opportunity to grow and develop. And interestingly, as we pointed out, the shortage is not balanced worldwide, but I think the important thing is that we can work anywhere. And COVID-19, if anything, has proven that to us. The cybersecurity workforce gap decreased from 4.7 million, in 2019 to 3.12, showing more people coming into the industry. And these are three things contributing: supply, demand, and the unknown impact of COVID obviously also had an impact on some job roles. But first, let's talk about demand. In the survey, we asked respondents about their future staffing, and many of them spoke about, the anticipated staffing counts were lower by about 5%. But undoubtedly, this is going to increase. COVID, yes, is here still for a few more months and perhaps until the end of the year. Nobody's got a crystal ball. We don't know, but we are going to come out of this, as we have seen that we have come out of pandemics, from the start of our lives, really, of human beings being on Earth. To look at the narrowing the gap within diversity, the skills shortage is a challenge, but it is not an insurmountable one. And we must realize that there are more skilled staff out there that can actually contribute to the sector. It will be necessary to expand the field of candidates as we build out the sector, as we look more at the jobs, as we start engaging with people that have not engaged with the industry before. And this is going to be one step towards tackling the skills gap, whilst also addressing a diversity challenge. How do we look at bringing in people that are in different industries? How do we look at encouraging people to join this industry and making it a fun, interesting industry that one wants to be a part of, one wants to contribute to? The diversity challenge exists in many forms, be it the challenge of age, gender diversity, which we've already mentioned, improving the diversity of ethnicity, overcoming socioeconomic barriers to entry, or ensuring education is an opportunity, not a barrier to entry. For all the diversity challenges the industry faces, one of the most visible is that of gender diversity. It continues to shape both perception and reality. And our specific research into this issue has confirmed that individuals are put off by the perceived lack of gender balance in the workforce. And the reality is that cybersecurity remains a male-dominated sector. And that goes back to my own example that I just shared earlier as well. But I think it's having the confidence to have those conversations and say, tell me what your plans are. How are you going to improve on this? How do I know that you're serious about really making a difference and really managing and bridging this gap that exists? In recent years, academia, not-for-profits, businesses, and governments have launched initiatives to draw women to computer sciences and STEM fields in general at an early age. And those efforts have been paid off. I mean, we can see that many respondents stated that they sought out their career path before securing a cybersecurity role, with 2/3 of respondents stating that they planned on entering the field while at university. However, there is also an indicator that we need to maintain the mentoring effort beyond school age and into the long-term career cycle for women entering the industry. Mentoring can and does play a major role in attracting and encouraging talent. and I speak from firsthand experience of having the opportunity of having had mentors in my own career and coaches as well. But again, I would say, take that opportunity right at the outset of your career. Don't wait until you get into middle management or senior management. From my perspective, I think I waited too long in order to get that help. I think it would have been, a lot more helpful to have had that share of experience and expertise earlier in order to manage some of the challenges I've had to manage around diversity in my own work and professional life. This year, 25% of our survey respondents were women, and the highest percentage of respondents generally were millennials, with only 1% at Gen X as well, which is something we need to keep an eye on. And I guess the question is that not all survey respondents had IT degrees. 20% came from engineering degree backgrounds, with 10% had majored in business. And again, showing that there is an opportunity to move and look at transferable skills. And looking at the consultants, even in a field where we can be famously ambiguous, many respondents call themselves consultants. And I think, a lot of people do work for themselves in this industry. And among our survey participants, the largest group of self-identified consultants work for small to middle-sized firms. And I, this is not based on data, but I would say, a lot of women in the circle that I know do that because it did allow them pre-COVID to have flexibility in their workplace. And currently, COVID-19 is actually just going to offer more flexibility, I would say, as well. So I am going to stop there and just ask if we've got any more questions, Deepa.
Sure, thanks, Deshini. So yes, we do have around career development, basically. So what steps would you recommend for someone who wants to progress into sort of a leadership role?
I think we talked about the mentoring and coaching. Absolutely, yes. I think you do need to ensure that you can find the opportunities to get the training that you need. So it be a training at that you can do online. There's lots of MOOCs available that you can get on and get free training, working with your organization, asking for that. Being able to shadow leaders in an organization is really important as well. And the other thing I would say is ask for opportunities to lead projects. Yeah. And if you're given an opportunity and you don't have all the skill set, don't say no to that opportunity. Take the opportunity and learn while you're doing it, and find the people to help you learn while you're doing it. For me, I think that's the way to actually develop and grow in that leadership position. In many cases, women, we wait until we can tick all the boxes and we can do it perfectly. And actually, good enough is fine. You don't need to be perfect.
Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Yeah, perfect. And another one is what certifications do ISC Square particularly offer for leadership roles? Is there?
So we have, one of the most highly recognized sought after certifications in the industry, CISSP, and that is available. There's lots of information on the website. So if anybody wants to learn more about those qualifications we offer, and specifically CISSP, they can find that on the website. But I'm very happy to engage with anyone after the call as well.
Thanks, Deshini.
So in the interest of time, I'll move on and we'll have more time at the end. Given the additional stress that cyber pros were experiencing, we're pleasantly surprised to see that the highest satisfaction rates we've seen in several years, significantly higher than 2018 and 2019. So people are overall satisfied, in their roles and in terms of what they're doing as well. This profession is a pretty good one in terms of compensation. The global average salary for cybersecurity professionals is around $83,000 per year, but in North America, the average is higher, so around $112,000. It is also worth noticing that there has been salary disparity by age. And yes, sometimes this is impacted by experience, but we need to be mindful that, some people and younger professionals may not want to join the industry if they feel they're not being given a fair opportunity as well. For additional context, if we look at some of the data from last year's Women in Cybersecurity study, we can see a clear male-female wage disparity in the cybersecurity sector. Now, it is particularly pronounced in Europe and the US, as well as many other professionals. And the salary discrepancy is definitely reflective of society at large. And I would say, you know, we're in the position right now where we should be able to be having transparent conversations with our organizations about what the level of salaries are, you know, within different bands, and have open conversations about where we sit as well within that. So let's take a few minutes to just talk about salary disparity issue and the wider point of career progression. I believe we might have some questions on this, but I'm very aware of the time as well, and very happy to take on further questions later on. But I guess one of the key questions that came up is, how do we deal with, just can see from the chart, how do we deal with, you know, the salary disparity? And again, I would say you need to have those open conversations with HR. You need to have those open conversations with your line managers. And it's uncomfortable. I think we as women, we find it uncomfortable to have those salary conversations, but it is important to actually be coached to have those salary conversations and practice it before you actually do it as well. On the topic of certifications, you know, these were the top 11 certifications held by participants, and feel free to take a screenshot on that. But we can see that, you know, with COVID-19 as well, many people moved to taking on more certifications and actually increasing and improving their learning and their certifications. And 63% of respondents said that they were planning to pursue a cybersecurity certification in the next year. So people are seeing the value of certifications and the need for it in their roles, and looking out for various certifications that can complement what they're doing. And there's a variety of that available, you know, in the UK, and the UK Cybersecurity Council is looking at how we can provide more information across what is actually available. I guess the question is, who pays for certifications? You know, in some cases, employers are paying for it. In other cases, employees are paying for it themselves. But, you know, I would say if your employer is not paying for your certification and you want to grow and develop in the industry, just take ownership for that part of your career. Don't wait on somebody else to make it happen for you so that you can actually progress as you want to. And while it's helpful to have these insights, and most people want to know how the workforce gaps, you know, impacts on them, the question becomes, how do we find the talent? How do we find the talent to fill in these roles so we get to having 0% unemployment? And the ISC Squared cybersecurity study offers 3 strategies for building what we call, you know, what is the dream team. Entice with professional development. And our advice is spend that time, invest in your people, invest in the professional development of people. That's absolutely important. Stop waiting for the unicorns. You know, this is where hiring managers need to communicate. Many times a job that is required, HR sets out looking for sometimes an unrealistic position, you know, unrealistic expectations of what can be filled. You know, let's look at what we've got. Let's look at how we can encourage people to come into the industry. Let's look at, you know, what transferable skills that are needed. Let's assess, do we actually need to have the, you know, are we actually saying that people need to have a bachelor's degree, or can they do it without it? By all means, go after the, you know, recent graduates who have degrees relevant to cybersecurity. Absolutely, they've shown their commitment. But in order to reach and deal with the workforce gap, we need to add creativity to recruiting and expand that search, and be transparent about how you're expanding that search to get more people into the industry as well. So what did we learn? In summary, the respondents for this year's cybersecurity indicated that the global cybersecurity workforce gap has been reduced for the first time. We know that this year may end up becoming an outlier due to the effects of COVID-19 on the industry, but there has been inspiring work done by cybersecurity professionals to keep the organizations protected, even during massive migration to workplace. They did it quickly, they did it securely, and it took a wide range of personnel. I feel so proud to be part of this industry, knowing the impact that this industry has had on touching the lives of every single person during COVID-19 in a positive manner. As the report points out, not many of us, you know, and those of us that rely on securing data and networks are in the cybersecurity roles. There are a variety of roles that, you know, contribute to cybersecurity. and the future is bright. You know, you can bring in marketing, PR, sales, recruitment. All of this is needed in cybersecurity, and the list goes on. I've only just named a few. Yeah. So the future is bright. We need to take a creative approach to discovering the talent wherever it resides. And the majority of those already in the field are satisfied. They want to pursue a career in cybersecurity. So let's together make it accessible, and together with collaborating with various organizations, looking at what we do, we can absolutely make a difference to the industry. If this kind of research interests you, you can download our report from the website. The full report is there, very accessible. It is a very interesting read, so please do access it. And it's all that's left for me is to say thank you so much for your time, for taking the time to listen to me, and a huge thank you to WiCyS. I feel very privileged to be asked to join you for your launch event. So over to you, Deepa.
Hi, Deshini, thank you so much for such a fascinating session, and also to our audience for all of the great questions that we've had come through. Deshini, if you wouldn't mind, we'd like to try and answer some of those while we've got a little bit of time. Yeah, fantastic. So one of the questions we've had through is, does ISC² offer membership to students or new graduates? And if so, what are the benefits?
Fantastic. So it was quite interesting listening to Laura earlier about what you're going to be doing for entry level for new graduates, which is brilliant. And I'd like to explore that further in terms of how we can collaborate with you. We don't currently have a student membership, and if anybody's got ideas about what we should be doing, please reach out to me. You know, we're constantly evolving. Definitely want to look at that. But ISC² has a variety of qualifications, across the sphere. So if you're coming into cyber from an IT administrative level, we have what we've got the qualification SSCP, which is an option that's available. And then we also move it up, with professional qualifications that are available. We have our Professional Development Institute that has a variety of courses available, and people can access that. And then our events are also a great opportunity for students actually to learn more about the industry, because joining one of the events, you can look at learning more from professionals in the industry, but also joining our chapters as well.
Fantastic, thank you. And in terms of certifications, which you just touched on there, so apologies, sorry, that was one of the questions that came through. So how does somebody become an ISC² member? What are are there minimum requirements?
Absolutely, absolutely. So currently, in order to become an ISC² member, one must first pass one of our certification exams. So you do your training. You can do your training either with, you can do it face-to-face. You can do it online. You can get a book and decide to read. It's up to you how you want to actually train for the certification. You then take an exam that you take at an exam center, we've just launched a pilot looking at how we can do that exam remotely as well. When you pass that certification, you then have to pass what is called an endorsed application process. So a member in good standing will endorse you. And then once that is all in place, and you can prove the work experience that you have, you then become a fully fledged ISC² member.
Fantastic. We also have another great question for one of our audience participants. As a mentor of the opposite sex, what measures can we implement or promote to ensure that we increase diversity within the organisation whilst also maintaining equality?
Absolutely. And you know what? I love that question. And I think the important thing, I know people have different views on this. I think we have to collaborate. Men and women have to collaborate in this industry for us to be successful.
Yeah.
So women are not going to move up into different roles. Women are not going to get opportunities unless actually, in many cases, those opportunities are given to them by men. Because the reality is, and we can't pretend this is not the case. In most cases, men are at those leadership roles. So I am delighted that question has been asked. And what my ask would be from our male colleagues in the industry is be serious about giving women the opportunity. And when you're in that leadership role, make sure that your teams understand that this is an important agenda for you, that you want to make a difference. This is not a tick box exercise. You want that woman to come into your team and you want her to be successful. You find the right person on the team that is going to enable that woman to be successful in that role. And give women an opportunity, even if they don't tick all the boxes, because actually we're very flexible and we're very good at multitasking. And when given an opportunity, a woman will put in that 110%. So I think it's absolutely important to partner and to work together. So I'm delighted by that question, actually. And thank you to whoever's asked for that question again. And I do hope, there are more men listening to this, and we need to partner. We have to partner. It's the only way to help women get into the industry, but also to eradicate this workforce gap, or else we're not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we had a number of questions from sort of our male participants along a very similar line. And you're quite right. We need those allies and that support, to encourage women to achieve more. Our final question is, how can we ensure the pipeline is nurtured to encourage more women into the industry?
Right, brilliant. It starts at school, yeah. It starts at school. And I think we need to look at what are we doing. We need to be engaging as an industry. And hopefully the UK Cybersecurity Council will be able to support and contribute to this as well. But as an industry, we all need to be coming together and looking at, the awarding bodies that are actually awarding qualifications at GCSE levels. What are they doing? Where is cyber? What is the place of cyber within qualifications? I was looking at some data recently, and actually IT certification at GCSE levels is actually going down. So you kind of look at less people taking the qualification. Why? Is there an IGCSE or a GCSE in cybersecurity? There isn't. It's part of an IT qualification. So it's really about having those conversations, and we need to start at the school level. And us as professionals need to start looking at how can we advocate for the profession at that level. That's the way to bring people into the pipeline. And I think then the universities are doing great work. You can see the interactions of what universities have with NCSE and what they're doing in terms of encouraging women to come into the profession, scholarships that are available, bursaries that are available to make it more accessible for women to get onto those degree programs, which is brilliant. And, I would encourage people that if your organization has the budget for a scholarship program, put that scholarship program out and encourage women to get onto cybersecurity, onto IT degrees, onto training programs. It doesn't even need to be a degree, but even onto smaller, shorter training programs that will encourage them to join that pipeline as well. And then I would say the next thing is looking at how can we get more people into the sector with transferable skills. So looking at encouraging people and saying, look, okay, you've got marketing skills. We need that in cybersecurity. So when we talk about cybersecurity, we're very much focused on the technical skills. And actually, there's loads of other business skills and soft skills that are needed in order to manage this industry. So we need to start talking about that more as well to add to that pipeline.
Absolutely, thank you. And to that point, Deshini, is for WiCyS, this is a topic that we needs an entire focus, and will be an upcoming event very, very soon. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, Laura, over to you.
Thank you very, very much, ladies. Deshini, that was absolutely fascinating. I can't wait to watch it back actually and just take it all in again, if I'm honest. But just a couple of things I picked up on that I just made a quick note of that you just hadn't really absorbed or taken on board, but where you're mentioning at the beginning of the talk about obviously COVID-19 and despite the horrendous negative impact it's had on so many industries and the economy, it's just an interesting thought that actually it's presented an opportunity for us women and allowing us for a more flexible environment to work in, and actually that should be a huge opportunity here for us, you know, to get more involved. But despite that, you know, the workforce still needs to grow by 89% to meet the demands. I mean, it's just absolutely shocking, isn't it? It's just absolutely shocking. Couple of points as well that just a couple of other notes I made where we were talking about, you know, progressing towards leadership. Some tips you shared there about, you know, women in organisations actually might start shadowing other people in the organisation to learn more, volunteering for projects, taking things on, and just because we don't know how to do everything, you know, that's okay. We don't know what we don't know, and actually, unless we get involved, we don't learn. So I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. And then looping into the salary piece, you know, we need to develop confidence. We need to understand our worth and appreciate our worth, because that will also help with our confidence and get better at asking. So I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. Natasha, you mentioned just now about some of the topics that we're going to be running events on. You know, they deserve a whole session specifically. I just would like to mention our next event, please, if I may. Our next event will be on the 17th of February. I was going to say October then, so February. So we're actually going to be talking about transferable skills to gain a role in the industry, and presenting with us will be the absolute wonderful Lisa Ventura, who is she's an award-winning cybersecurity consultant and the CEO and founder of the UK CyberSecurity Association. She is passionate about raising awareness, being more cyber aware in a business to help prevent cyber attacks and cyber fraud. She's a thought leader, author, keynote speaker, and she's published various books. Her first book was called Rise of the Cyber Woman Volume 1, where she shares fantastic stories and insights of women that have flipped their careers and pursued a career in cybersecurity. She's going to be launching Volume 2, or see, there's a second volume, Volume 2 in the same series. She's launching it in line with International Women's Day in March, so we're going to get some exclusive insights from her book and stories next month when she shares the panel with us. So please look out for that. Join us, follow us on our LinkedIn group. We'll be sharing more information there. Our new website will be launching soon, and we'll be letting you all know about that as well, where you'll be able to sign up for notification for events and more information about membership, etc. But once again, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Deshini, for the just amazing insights that you shared with us today. And I'd just like to say, is there anything else you'd like to add just to wrap this up?
Absolutely. So you can all see I've got Audrey at the back. I love Audrey. And one of the things she said was, nothing is impossible. The word itself says I'm possible. So go rock it, ladies, and make it happen.
May I just add, in the words of one of our lovely attendees today, Ree Buckler, Deshini, you are a powerhouse.
Oh, bless.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
guys. I'll be taking note of all the questions that we've had today on the live chat, as well as part of the registration. We will be corresponding with you guys on those questions if we haven't managed to answer those today, and we will be hosting sessions specifically on those subjects. So please keep in touch with us, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.